It was a weekend to remember as former University of Oklahoma football players, coaches, staff members, and Sooner fans gathered to salute OU's all-time winningest football coach, Barry Switzer. The site was Houston, Texas. That's right, Texas' largest city honored the man who recruited hundreds of their top players away, including 20 All-Americans who crossed the Red River to play at the University of Oklahoma for Coach Switzer. The OU Club of Houston and the Houston Sooner Players Committee, known as Barry's Boys, representing over 6,000 OU alumni and fans in the area, put together this two-day tribute on August 12th and 13th, 2005. It officially began on Friday afternoon as this private jet taxied to the Millionaire Terminal at Houston's Hobby Airport, carrying Coach Switzer and some of his party. As the plane was rolling to a stop, the event coordinator, Alan Livingston, talked about how this all came together.
To make a long story short, we wrote letters to Coach Switzer back in March to try and convince him that it was time for a players' celebration to honor the coach. We thought this was a great time because it's the 30th anniversary of the back-to-back national champions of 74-75, and also because it's the 20th anniversary of the 85 national champions. Plus, we have over 40 of his players, including 2 of his All-Americans that live here in Houston. And we've been trying to get the coach down here for a number of times. And we thought this was a great opportunity, and what we would do is not just a luncheon or a dinner to honor Coach Switzer. This would be a player's salute to Coach Switzer. And the person that really made it happen was Billy Sims. Billy Sims had dinner with the coach and convinced the coach that this was a great opportunity. He ought to take advantage of it, and the coach said yes. But it was not until June that we were able to firm everything up, so we put this all together in 6 weeks.
As soon as the coach came off the plane, you could tell he was fired up for his big weekend.
Hunt the fishing, coach. Join me ring, mommy. John, my tight end. I got my tight end, John Randolph. You need heart surgery. See this guy. Jack, this guy thinks he still play quarterback, but he's a radio guy now. He's a big voice on the radio. And hey, this Coach O'Shaver, he thinks he can still coach too. He's one of those old coaches trying to look young.
The event was staged at the Weston Oaks Hotel in the famed Galleria Complex in Houston. When Coach Switzer arrived that Friday afternoon, several of his former coaches and players were already waiting for him in the hotel lobby.
Hey, Turner. Yes,
sir.
How you doing?
You remember that real well.
Yeah, how you doing? You look good.
Thank you.
Joe Cusack, Chicago. He was there, one of our first guys. What, 66? Lacewell. This is what Lacewell had to work with.
He called me Cusack.
That's why we had
never
the guy.
learned the name.
Cusack.
Yeah, that's what he called me. It's a Polish name.
Well, we know it's Polish. we know we had a Polak. First Polak ever coached right here. Best Polak ever coached. Greg Selmeyer, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. All right?
Yeah.
Good. Joe
You're looking
Boone.
good.
What position you play for? What you play? Were you a walk-on halfback like Israel Shepherd?
I was a Barry Switzer.
One of the wrestlers.
Trained. I remember getting on the mat with him. He said, "Come here, freshman." He's a sophomore. 3 of us went on the mat with him.
Yeah.
3 of us had trouble getting off.
That's a mistake. Old man Zabel.
I know. I was there your second year, baby. I go all the way back.
67. You and we had a help football team. You think back, we had 3 first-round picks off that. 4. Who's the 4th? Jimmy Fowles, you, Owens, Eddie Hinton. Elvis, you're back in Florida. Back in Miami. You know,
You ain't gonna start crying.
That's
what I'm finna say. You ain't gonna start crying.
Oh, you make me cry, boy. Big guy, Kelly Phelps. How you doing, big guy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Jim Jones. Hey, I know where
Turbin, Oklahoma.
Yeah, right up above Liberal. You have to fly into
That's
Liberal.
right.
Hey,
That's right.
you got this distinction. You're the only 8-man football player I went to see.
You didn't want any more.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Doing okay?
Great weekend, isn't it?
Well, that was his Virgil. That's it. Virgil's banker, wasn't it? Yeah, banker. Yeah, I remember. How can you remember all that? I remember.
He's still sharp. Still sharp.
Hey, Rex, sexy Rexy Norris.
What's going on, Coach? Oh, that's terrible. What's going on? Hey, Bobby. How you doing, big boy?
Play tackle, I believe. What is it, Billy? He's old coach. Good to see you.
Wow.
He's like one of those Yankees.
Hey, clink, clink.
The only thing about it, we say, Rick, we play in Ohio State, and he's bitching about everybody going to the field. We go look at the film, and he's the only time he's out in the middle of the pile laying.
When Von Schaumburg kicked, he said, everybody get back, everybody get back. I'm going, boom, man. I dove right in the middle, hit him right in the chest.
Everybody said, y'all get back, get back. And all of us look out there. We don't know it.
And Bob was the one, hey, here's my police guard, here's my escort running down the field.
Hey.
We played football together. He didn't play in Oklahoma. He was too good, he said. He played in Arkansas. Dale Owen Boutwell from Cotton Plant, Arkansas.
More players started arriving and registering. In all, there would be 125 of Coach Switzer's former players, coaches, and staff members who came from 15 different states for the weekend tribute. The event began with a hanging loose with Coach Switzer party at the home of former player Ron Hall.
Ron Hall, tight end, McCook, Nebraska, one of the few from Nebraska. And I just could not pass up a chance to be with my family again. Been a long road, but here I am back again. And appreciate everybody coming.
An informal players-only chance to enjoy each other's company and be with their coach. They were, as the T-shirts proclaimed, Barry's boys.
I'm Dave Robertson. I played quarterback in 1972.
Jimbo Elrod, defensive end, 1972 through 1975. We lost one game.
I'm Tim Welch. I played 71, 72, and 73. Actually, 73 was was Coach Switzer's first year as head coach. And we'll always appreciated Barry because the one thing that stood out in that last year is he made the game fun.
Hey, Coach Vic Kearney, glad to be here. Obviously, my last year was 1972 and didn't get to play for you as a head coach, but the years following 72 have been wonderful, and you're the greatest coach I know. Thank you.
Danny Mullen, 1971, 72, 73, linebacker. Coach, it's great that they were able to do this for you. I'm great you lived long enough to see this happen. You're one of my idols. You've been one of my idols for a long time. It's a privilege to have played for you. I think you're the greatest.
I'm Thomas Lott, played 75 through 78, 79 Orange Bowl, and just want to wish Barry the best because he gave us his best. So we wanted to be here and celebrate.
Mike Barry, University of Oklahoma, 1976, 1977, 78.
Hey, my name is Kelly Phelps from Putnam City High School in Oklahoma City. I was there for OU from 1978 through 82. Coach Switzer, I love you, man. I'm glad you were there when I was there. Congratulations and continued success.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's important. My coach, that's what he preaches to you all the time.
Hi, I'm Leroy Selman, and I was at Oklahoma University from 1972 through the 75 season, and I'll tell you what a great experience that I enjoyed, along with my brothers and all of our teammates and coaches, and the leader of it all was, of course, Coach Barry Switzer, and what a great guy, a genuine person that not only cared for us as players, but more importantly as people. And I think all of us saw that. I know I did personally, and I just appreciate him so much for that because it's made such a big difference in my life. And Coach, I just want to say you're the best. I love you dearly, and it's just great to be here and celebrate this special occasion with you.
Steve Zabel, 1967 to 1969, played tight end, punted, defensive end, and Coach Switzer, you're the best ever.
Jim Dickey, I was at Oklahoma with Chuck Fairbanks and Barry Switzer and that bunch, 70, 71, and 72. We beat Nebraska 17-14. We still had to go back to the Sugar Bowl for the second time, but we loved it.
Mike Spencer,
Played center from 73-77.
Jerry Sanders, linebacker, class of '83. Coach Switzer, we love you and thank you for the scholarship and many, many blessings from now on.
Kerry Jackson, 72-75. Coach Switzer, it was great, good, and I'm glad to be back to see you again.
We've had it good. I've seen it turn so many times in my lifetime. Of course, you've seen it turn too.
I was 202 and he was what'd you weigh, 198?
You weren't picked to be
205.
blockers. You were picked to be runners.
No, I was picked because I couldn't be in the secondary no more.
You weren't recruited to be in secondary anyway. No, you couldn't play secondary. Proctor, we gonna let you.
Bobby Proctor, coach from OU, 1971 to 1991. And coach secondary, we led the nation in 3 years in secondary. And Coach Switzer, I was very fortunate. He was a freshman at Arkansas, and I coached him at Arkansas. So us coming back to Oklahoma, it was a great knowledge for me to be with him. And, you know, we had great years and enjoyed being coaching with him and still spending lots of time with him.
I'm Jackie Sandifer. I was starting halfback for the Senators in 1957 and 1958. Been a longtime friend of Barry Switzer's. I met Barry in 1968 in Abilene, Texas, when he was recruiting Jack Mildren. Barry and I have been 40-year friends. He's probably, I've never known a nicer person than Barry Switzer, or a person that's done more for people in need, or a nicer person to little children, people that are sick, and just glad that they're having this salute to Barry.
The name is Victor Hicks, played from 75 to 78. Hey, Coach, what are you weighing?
Hey, Coach Switzer, how you doing? This is Rob McGee's running back. 78, thanks for the memories, and I wish you well, and whatever you might do, man, I just appreciate the chance to be a Sooner. Thank you.
Danny Wilson, 80 to 83. Played nose guard at about 265, now about 215. Coach Switzer, some of the best years of my life. Great fraternity, we love you, and we hope we can do this every year.
John Roush, 1972 through 1974, played offensive guard. And Coach Switzer, I just want to thank you for the memories, and it just seems like yesterday.
The evening ended with another memory. A team photo of Barry's boys. Saturday morning at Quail Valley Country Club, there was a golf outing for some of the returning Sooners. And there were more welcomes for the coach, including a message from his two-time All-American linebacker, Darrell Hunt.
Hey, Coach Switzer, you know, I've always lobbied for a little shorter practice times, but now we can have tea times. That's a little bit better. Appreciate you. This is for you.
Dave Hudgens, defensive tackle, 73 to 77. Coach Switzer, it was great seeing you last night. It was good seeing all the family together.
My name is Lee Morris. I played from 82 to 87 on the 1985 championship year with Earl Johnson, and was wide receiver along with Derek Shepard. And Coach Switzer, it's been a wonderful year, time, and look forward to many more years of this. It's been a wonderful experience, and I appreciate you allowing me to participate in the festivities. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah!
On Saturday evening, the who's who of some of the University of Oklahoma's greatest football teams under Coach Switzer were on hand for the special program. In all, more than 600 people packed the Weston Oaks Ballroom and an adjoining room.
Well, I see. I was there twice. I went with Barry in '66 and came back in '68, and I'm glad that Barry was smart enough or dumb enough to change to the wishbone because it saved all our jobs, and he knows that, and I'm glad he was smart enough to keep me as defensive coordinator. The more I talk, I guess you're a smart guy, Switzer.
Did your brothers make it? Okay.
Dewey Stillman, 1972 to 1976, and to Coach Switzer, you're one of the best coaches I've ever been around. I know if I wanted anything done, I can call you, and you'll always be a friend. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you coming. We really appreciate it. Jeff?
Bob Warmack, quarterback, 1966 to 68. Barry, thanks for all the wonderful memories, and we love you.
Gene Hoshaver, I was offensive line coach at the University of Oklahoma, came there in 1969 and left in 77. Coached with Chuck Fairbanks and ended up coaching the rest of the time with Barry. Barry, congratulations on such a wonderful tradition that you were able to build, and I was glad to be a part of it, and God bless you.
Thanks for the memory. Thanks for the memory.
The program began as any Boomer Sooner function should, with some past, present, and even possibly future members of the Pride of Oklahoma.
You know, when we started planning this event, we talked to a lot of people. There were a lot of people said, Houston, Texas, my God, that's a Longhorn city. Then some others said, no, it's an Aggie city. We even had a few people that told us it's a Cougar and an Owl town. But let me tell you, after tonight, this is a Sooner city.
Next up was Texas State House of Representatives member Peggy Hamrick with a special and surprise presentation to the coach.
Coach Switzer, when Alan contacted me as the only OU graduate in the Texas legislature to see if I could get a resolution passed in the Texas House of Representatives honoring you, I told him I thought it was possible. I'm not sure I'll ever get elected again, but Coach, I said, I think it may take a little Sooner magic, but I think this is a project that I'm going to put a lot of enthusiasm into. I'll just read a little bit of what it says. Whereas the Players Salute to Coach Barry Switzer Gala weekend in Houston, being held from August 12 to 13, 2005, pays tribute to one of the premier football coaches of the modern era. And whereas this legendary coach is held in the highest regard by his former players and his countless fans, and his lifetime achievements on the gridiron indeed merit special recognition now, therefore be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the 79th Texas Legislature, first call session, hereby honor Barry Switzer on his remarkable coaching career. And extend to him sincere best wishes for continued success and happiness, and be it further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for Coach Switzer as an expression of high regard by the Texas House of Representatives.
On behalf of all those great Sooner players and those fans that filled those stadiums, home and away, we accept this from the great state of Texas. And more importantly, for all those great football players we got out of this state.
There was also a letter of congratulations presented from University of Oklahoma President David Boren that said in part, Barry's love and care for those who played for him extended well beyond the football field, and he was influential in their lives long after they had moved on from his team. It is for that reason we remember Barry as such an exceptional coach who truly loved his team members. The Master of Ceremonies for the evening, J.C. Watts, OU's quarterback from 1978 through 1980.
You know, Coach Switzer this evening is about
all of us individually and collectively saying thank you to Coach Switzer. The speed of the pack is always determined by the leader, and Coach Switzer was the leader during our time at the University of Oklahoma, but he also had a great coaching staff. And I want at this time for all of Coach Switzer's staff to stand and be recognized. Through the leadership of Barry Switzer and through these men, we created in our lives what I like to call the air of expectancy, where we expected to win. It didn't matter if it was in a bowl game, if it was Texas, if it was Nebraska. There was an air of expectancy that we expected to win. We expected to do well. There was a fellow that wrote a letter, and I think he kind of framed the evening very well, and I want to read this letter to you. And he doesn't want any recognition, but I'm going to tell you, and it will probably embarrass him, but I am going to tell you who wrote this to kind of give us some idea of why we're here tonight. John Rayleigh put about 4 paragraphs together here that I want to share with you. The statistics associated with Coach Switzer's OU career are generally known. 3 national championships, 12 conference championships, 28 consensus All-Americans. Winners of the Heisman, Outland, Lombardi, Butkus, and Thorpe Awards. A record of 157, 29, and 4. He is without one of the greatest football coaches in modern history. But press clipping facts can never adequately describe Barry Switzer to those who know him. The sparkle of his personality, his competitive spirit, his passion for coaching, his warmth, how much fun it is to just be around him. And if any of you saw that Legends film, I think that gives you a pretty good idea of the joy it is to be around Barry Switzer. That's why we kept coming back bruised and sore day after day. We knew that Coach Switzer would be waiting for us, cracking jokes, patting our backs, and making us believe, as he did, that we were champions. Some people wonder where Sooner Magic came from. We know the answer. When hope seemed lost, we knew that if we stayed together, we could find a way to win. We learned that from Coach Switzer. Coach Switzer helped us during our short time together to experience greatness. That experience is a continuing source of strength and confidence in our lives to this very day. This evening is about letting Coach Switzer know how much we appreciate him and all that he had done, all that he has done for all of us. Coach Switzer, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you very much. I think the film that we're about to see with Chris Lincoln, I'm going to recognize Chris Lincoln. Chris was the host of the Barry Switzer highlight show, or the coaches show, from 1974 through 1981. Chris has put together a film that I think you and I think you, Coach, will appreciate.
Hello again, everyone. Hello again, Coach Switzer. Happy anniversary to the University of Oklahoma. I don't know if you realize this, how special this year 2005 is. This, folks, is the 50th anniversary of Bud Wilkinson's 1955 national championship team. This year is the 30th anniversary of Coach Barry Switzer's 1975 national championship team. And it's the 20th anniversary of Coach Switzer's 1985 national championship team. Happy anniversary, Barry. I'm kind of representing the media, and we have to thank Coach Switzer. He's put up with a lot of us media guys, and it's been a real trip with him. He's damn near gotten me killed so many times. I mean, from going on Bob Devaney's show with that damn bag of tacos and telling him he's going to the Sun Bowl. I'll always remember him at Ohio State when he turned and let the Ohio State media know that, he said, what is that down there in the end zone? And I said, well, Coach, that's our mascot. That's the Buckeye. I said, well, hell, that looks like a rabbit turd with a hat on. Jeez. To the time where, I mean, we all knew he wasn't going to talk, had nothing to say to that guitar picker, Darrell Royal, but hell, neither one of them would even acknowledge they were with the President of the United States, President Ford, walking out on the field. They wouldn't even listen to him. Well, we've had some great times through the years, and, you know, I hope all of you players, staff members, OU fans, look around this room and take it all in tonight. This is never going to happen again, folks. We'll never all be together like this again. Hasn't happened before, probably never happen again. So enjoy this, take this in. That's why we put these videos together, to enjoy memories. Memories that are so strong with the University of Oklahoma football program. Hell, you guys out there can't remember your wife's anniversary or her birthday, and you sure as hell know what the score was against Texas or Nebraska and some of those. So you know what I'm talking about. So let's go back with Coach Switzer, where it all began. Let's take a look at our tribute video to Coach Switzer.
You know, you've got to take this approach. Our goal is to win the Big 8 Conference Championship and challenge for the National. Well, they can't take that away from us. You know, we're going to team that represents the Big 8 Conference on TV or in a bowl game. We hope that they're the second best team.
Barry made good on that promise and then some as he started his head coaching career on a 28-game win streak. January 29th, 1973, the beginning of the Switzer era of Oklahoma football. Barry was named head coach at 35 years old. He first came to OU from his alma mater, Arkansas, in 1966 as an offensive line coach for Jim McKenzie. In 1967, he was named OU's offensive coordinator by head coach Chuck Fairbanks. Barry Switzer was head coach of the Sooners from 1973 through 1988, a record of 157 wins, 29 losses, 4 ties, win percentage of .837, fourth best all-time in the history of college football. His OU resume included back-to-back national championships in 1974 and 1975, marking just the second time in history that had been done. The first to do it, also the University of Oklahoma, with Bud Wilkinson's teams in 1955 and 1956. Switzer's third national championship came in 1985. His Sooners won or shared the Big 8 Conference title every year between 1973 and 1980. Overall, Barry's teams won or shared the conference championship 12 times in 16 seasons. During the Switzer era, his 16 OU teams scored 6,093 points, an average of 32.1 points per game, while giving up just 12.8 points a game. 32 times in his coaching career, Oklahoma would hang half 150 points or more on an opponent. In the national polls during the Switzer era, OU ranked number 2, first, number 5, 7th, third, number 20, 16th, number 6, number 1, third. Only twice in 16 seasons was OU not in the final top 20. OU teams under Coach Switzer made 13 bowl trips, winning 8 times. Switzer teams produced 110 all-conference players, 51 All-Americans, 20 from the state of Texas, a Heisman Trophy winner, a Walter Camp Trophy winner, 2 Dick Butkus winners, 2 Lombardi Award winners, a Jim Thorpe winner, 2 Outland Trophy winners, and 8 College Football Hall of Fame inductees, including Switzer himself, who was enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame in 2001. Barry stepped down as the Sooners' all-time winningest coach on June 19, 1989. Despite many offers, Switzer stayed out of coaching until April of 1994, when his former Arkansas teammate, Jerry Jones, now owner of the Dallas Cowboys, offered him the head coaching job of America's team in the National Football League.
You know, when there's change, there's always resistance to change, and finally the last thing is acceptance. And when you go through a spectrum of emotions, that's the final emotion you have to deal with, is that finally is acceptance. I'm here. Yeah. And and that's what Jerry wants, what I want, it's what it's going to be.
During the 1994 season, Switzer led the Cowboys to a 13-5 season and the NFC Championship. The next year, it was a Super Bowl title with a 27-17 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 30.
Are you having a good time now, Jerry? I want to tell you, we did it our way, baby. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Barry retired from coaching at the end of the 1997 NFL season. Barry Switzer's Sooner memories span 3 decades of Oklahoma football, beginning as an assistant in 1966 through his head coaching career in 1988. From 23 seasons, 268 football games at the University of Oklahoma, here are some of Coach Switzer's best Sooner memories. 1966. Jim McKenzie's one season as OU's head coach, with a staff that included future Sooner head coaches Chuck Fairbanks and Barry Switzer. Switzer was the line coach on that team that went 6-4, including OU's first win in 8 years over Texas and an upset of unbeaten and top-ranked Nebraska. 1967. Led by running back Steve Owens and quarterback Bobby Warmack, OU went undefeated in the Big 8 and beat Tennessee 26-24 in the 1968 Orange Bowl. 1971. As OU's offensive coordinator, Switzer directed back-to-back wins over national powers USC, 33-20 in Norman on October 2nd. And on October 9th, a 48-27 stomping of Texas, the second year of the Sooners' wishbone offense. 1971, of course, was also the game of the century, when in the battle of number 1 and number 2, Nebraska prevailed in Norman 35-31. OU went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Auburn 40-22. 1973, Longhorn Barbecue. Highlighting his first season as the Sooners head coach, Oklahoma destroyed Texas 52-13, hanging the worst defeat ever on a Darrell Royal coach team. OU rolled for 508 yards of total offense, and the defense was just as dominant. The only blemish on a perfect season, a 7-7 tie at USC, but even that game provided a Sooner highlight, little Joe Washington's punt return. It was truly something to see. '74 national champions. The first of Barry Switzer's national championship teams, the 11-0 1974 season. The first perfect record for an OU team since the 10-0 Bud Wilkinson national championship squad of 1956. The highlight came on November 23, 1974 at Nebraska, when OU had 4 80-yard-plus touchdown drives to beat the Huskers 28-14.
17 years, and this is the first time I made it. I've been 9-1 and 10-1 about 4, 5, 6 times, and it's just a great feeling to know that nobody can beat you.
How does it feel to be number 1 on the top?
I really, you know, I really might start crying if I start trying to describe it. It's something that for 4 years we've wanted so bad.
1975, national champions again. November 15, 1975 at Missouri. 2 plays by Joe Washington made back-to-back national championships possible. The first, the 71-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1 from the Sooner 29-yard line with 5:35 left to play. Then the game winner as little Joe converted on a 2-point run. Oklahoma 28, Missouri 27. 1976, Sooner Magic. Sooner Magic on display at Nebraska, November 26, 1976. Trailing 17-13 with under 3 minutes to play. Switzer called for the old hook and lateral play. Quarterback Dean Blevins passing to Steve Rhodes, who then lateral to Elvis Peacock, who streaked down the boundary before being knocked out of bounds at the Husker 3-yard line. On the next play, Peacock took the pitch from OU quarterback Thomas Lott, scored for a 2017 OU win with 38 seconds to play. Oklahoma's 5th straight win over Nebraska and a 5th straight Big 8 championship. In Switzer's entire career, his record in games decided by 3 points or less, an astounding 17-1. 1977, the kick.
4th down, timeout, Oklahoma, 6 seconds left. Von Schaumann came on the field, ready to kick. But timeout, Ohio State. Woody Hayes would let the pressure build. And Von Schaumann would lead the chants as the 88,119 fans cried, "Block that kick, block that kick." The waiting was over. ABC's Keith Jackson calls the action.
41-yard field goal to win it. It is long enough. It is good. Wow. With 3 seconds to play in the game, the Oklahoma team and some of their fans have come onto the field in exultation as Von Schaumann hit it on the money.
'78, the rematch and the Heisman. The season of the rematch, 1978, and of number 20, Billy Sims' Heisman Trophy winning season, when the Hooks Texas native rushed for 1,762 yards, averaging 7.6 yards a carry, and scoring 20 touchdowns. Oklahoma was 11-1. Its only loss, 17-14 at Nebraska, when the Sooners fumbled 9 times and lost 6, including Sims' fumble at the Nebraska 3-yard line with 3:27 left to play. But the next week, while OU was rolling up Oklahoma State 62-7, Nebraska was upset by Missouri. And then the phones started ringing.
On behalf of the Orange Bowl Committee, I would like to formally extend an invitation to the University of Oklahoma to meet the University of Nebraska in the Orange Bowl Classic on January the 1st. I'm sure that you have been advised that we have asked, as your opponent, the University of Oklahoma.
We think that the rematch will be a very exciting game and one with a tremendous amount of appeal. Hello?
In the Orange Bowl rematch with Nebraska, OU fumbled just once and led the Huskers 31-10 in the 4th quarter on its way to an easy 31-24 revenge victory. 1979, Sims finale. Billy Sims' senior season at Oklahoma, as he finished his Heisman career with over 3,800 yards rushing, a 7.1 yard per carry average, and 50 touchdowns. He won the Heisman as a junior and should have repeated as a senior. Just ask Nebraska. Nebraska came to Norman on November 24th, 1979, unbeaten and with the #1 rushing defense in the nation, giving up just 68 yards a game. On the Sooners' very first play, Sims went 74 yards up the middle for a touchdown. It was called back by a penalty. Still, Billy ripped up the Husker defense for 247 yards on 28 carries, and it was back to the Orange Bowl.
That is the greatest Oklahoma performance that's ever been. And we got it. There is the best player in America.
Oklahoma's first game in the decade of the 80s was in the Orange Bowl. Florida State was 11-0 in 1979, but the Seminoles got too much Billy Sims. Too much J.C. Watts, the Orange Bowl MVP. and way too much OU defense. The final, Oklahoma 24, Florida State 7. 1980, the comeback. Some say the 1980 season was Coach Switzer's best coaching job ever. After a 2-2 start, the Sooners came back with 8 straight victories, sweeping to another Big 8 title, including a 21-17 win at Nebraska, as Oklahoma stopped the Huskers' nationally ranked #1 offense. It was back to the Orange Bowl for a 4th straight year, and once again it was Florida State. The Sooners trailed 17-10 with just 2:37 left. Florida State had not allowed a touchdown in the 4th quarter during its 11-0 season. Until, that is, J.C. Watts hit Steve Rhodes for an 11-yard touchdown with 1:27 left to play. OU went for the victory, and J.C. in a 2nd straight Orange Bowl MVP performance hit tight end Forrest Valora in the corner of the end zone for the 2-point conversion and an 18-17 victory. 1982, back on top. The 1982 season highlight was being back on top of Texas, 28-22. After 3 straight years of frustration against the Longhorns, Oklahoma got big plays on offense. And defense. And beat Texas 28-22. 1984, back to the bone and defense. 1984 marked the return to the wishbone, and OU rolled to 9 victories. Senior quarterback Danny Bradley led the wishbone offense. But a young defense made up of freshmen, sophomores, and redshirts was really special. It would finish as the nation's top-ranked defense in 1985, 1986, and 1987. The only time any team ever did that in the history of college football. And the defense was never better than at Lincoln, Nebraska on November 17, 1984, in what Coach Switzer called the greatest goal line stand in my career. The OU defense stopped Nebraska on 4 downs from the Sooner 2-yard line to hold on to a 17-7 victory. The next week, OU clinched another Big 8 title, holding Oklahoma State to a -4 yards rushing. The win also meant another trip to Miami and the Orange Bowl. 1985 through 1987. Hurricane warning. From 1985 through 1987, the Oklahoma Sooners were a perfect 33-0 against everyone in college football. Everyone except the Miami Hurricanes. The Sooners went 0-3 against Miami. In 1985, OU overcame a loss to the Hurricanes, then swept through the Big 8 Conference and beat Penn State in the Orange Bowl 25-10 to win Switzer's 3rd national title. The 20-14 defeat in the 1988 Orange Bowl to Miami would cost Switzer and the Sooners a 4th national championship. Barry did get sweet revenge against his alma mater, Arkansas, when the Sooners roasted the Hogs 42-8 in the 1987 Orange Bowl. In 1986 and 1987, Oklahoma had the best defensive teams in all of college football, leading the nation in almost every defensive category. And the wishbone was #1 in rushing and scoring in 1986. Barry would get another special Sooner memory in 1988 when his final squad beat Texas for the 4th consecutive year. Coach Switzer, from all your players, thanks for the memories. And forever, Boomer Sooner.
Good stuff. I was telling Brian, I said, this feels like a locker room atmosphere with the band and the fans. But we're going to hear from some of Coach Switzer's former players. Steve Owens tonight, as you notice in the program, the honorary co-chairs was the Heisman winners, Billy Sims and Steve Owens. Steve could not be here tonight because of an illness in his family. And so I know that Steve is here with us in spirit, and we appreciate his contributions to this evening. I'm going to bring up some of Coach Switzer's former players, and the first one that I want to bring up is a fella that wore number 44 and took linebacking to a different level. So Brian Bosworth, come up and say hello to him.
Wow, so good to be home away from home in Houston, Texas. This is not Norman, but I'm glad to see so much crimson and cream here. I'm not very good in speaking in front of, live people. I usually have cameras in front of me, so I'll try my best. What do you say to the man who was the architect of who you are today? And all I can say is thank you, Coach. As a young 17-year-old in 1982, as I looked up from my cafeteria in high school, across the heads of all of those that were eating lunch, and I see this man standing in a full-length mink coat, screaming those words only Uncle Sam could get away with, "Boz, we want you." I thought it was Huggy Bear, and I wish somebody had started a food fight. It was the longest walk of my life as I walked across to meet the man that I'd idolized and wanted to play for as long as I could remember watching football. Oklahoma was something near and dear to me as a transplant to Oklahoma living in Texas. And it was always my dream to be able to have an opportunity to go back and play for Oklahoma, just to be on the roster, to be able to walk down Memorial Stadium's ramp, to be part of an Oklahoma's history and tradition, to be one of Barry's boys. But to be something that was an impact to him and his career was something that I still have dreams about every day of my life. It was the best 4 years of my life, without question. Here's a man who instilled in me as I sat in his office the day I got recruited after I committed to SMU and LSU and A&M, but I would never commit to University of Texas. But Coach Switzer sat me down in his office, and I asked him point blank, I said, "Coach, why would you ever recruit a young skinny boy from Irving, Texas to come play at your history tradition of Oklahoma football?" And he told me, and I never forget these words, "Don't ever doubt yourself. If I have faith in you, you have faith in you." And that has resonated in my life. It has built my character, and I'm proud every day to say that I'm an Oklahoma resident, I'm an Oklahoma boy, I'm a redneck, love to be a redneck. I'm proud to be an Oklahoma football player. I'm proud to have Coach Switzer as my coach, but more than anything, I'm proud to have Coach Switzer and Barry as my friend. Thank you, Coach Switzer. Now that we've all sit here and we congratulate Coach Switzer on all the accomplishments that he's been able to achieve in his life and all the changes in the character that he's bestowed upon all of us, I find it ironic that each and every time I get a chance to speak about Coach Switzer, it's not the details that he remembers about the families and the players that he was able to get somehow to Oklahoma, but it's all the details of the families that he wasn't able to recruit that didn't come to Oklahoma. And I find that fascinating, that a guy who has had so many people that have come across his life and his career, he's had such an impact on those that didn't even have a chance to to be able to embrace what Coach Switzer really has meant to me and to all the players that he's had a chance to reach out and touch. And I know all the players that have played for him and all the players that played during the years that I've played, it's about family. And the family extends not only in Texas, not only extends in Oklahoma, but it extends across this great nation. And OU is always going to be alive. It's always going to be a very deep-run tradition. It started well before Coach Switzer. It'll continue beyond Coach Switzer, but in my heart, Coach Switzer is Oklahoma football. Boomer Sooner, and thank you.
Coach, come up here.
I need to help you out? No, I'm okay. Junior.
The next guy I'm going to bring up, Jack Mildren. When you look at that wishbone era that Coach Switzer and Chuck Fairbanks and the staff started, I guess, about the middle of the 1970 football season, you know, Jack Mildren, you know, when I was struggling as a wishbone quarterback, I could go in and look at film of Thomas Lott and his mechanics and the great mechanics that he had and kind of correct my mechanics. Jack Mildren had no mold. He had nobody to look to say, how do I, you know, kind of fine-tune this a little bit. He had no mold and he had no film to look at as far as Oklahoma quarterbacks. So Jack's the guy that started for all the wishbone quarterbacks, or that wishbone era. Jack got it started, and so Jack, where you at, Jack? Here he is. Come up, Jack. By the way, we have 3 minutes, and if you go longer than 3 minutes, I'll start singing. So.
Hell, Bosworth went 10, JC. You know, like Brian, I was a kid from Texas. I came from Abilene, and my brothers, I have 2 brothers. My brothers really liked Barry because when he came to recruit our house, we had no dishwasher. That's not a poor story, that's a fact. And so we alternated, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'd roll it over again. So when Barry would come, he would wash dishes with my mother so they could recruit each other, I guess. Mother was checking him out to make sure it'd be a good place for eldest son to go, but boy, my brothers thought this was a special guy. Get that Oklahoma guy down here a lot because when he's there, we don't have to wash dishes. But I've got to tell you, when I first crossed the Red River to go to college, best decision I've ever made. Absolutely the best. And yes, Barry and I lived and learned the wishbone together, some good, maybe some not so good. It all worked out in the end. But I've got to tell you, the things about this man that mean the most to me really are after football. And we all go through these times. There are great times and there are not so great times in everyone's life. And it's really in the not so great times that this guy will show up, call you, find out. I don't know how in the hell he could find out those kinds of things, but he does. And reach out like you're playing again. That's what a friend does. That's what Barry did for all of us. And that's why there's so many guys here. You're right. That's why there's so many guys here. And that's why, from Jack Mildren, this guy's the best that ever was. Thanks.
Thanks, Jack.
The next guy that I'm going to bring up, not only did Sooner fans have the pleasure of watching him, but all of college football fans, whether they were in Oklahoma or outside the state, loved to see this guy perform. Old Silver Shoes. I remember Coach Switzer, I heard Coach Switzer tell the story once that Joe Washington was being recruited by the University of Texas, and Darrell Royal said He was not going to allow him to wear silver shoes. He would wear the same colored shoes as everybody else. Coach Switzer said, Joe, you come to Oklahoma, you can go barefoot if you want to. Joe Washington.
Stand up.
First of all, it is a pleasure to be here. I think my real first experience, with Oklahoma and Houston, I think was my sophomore year. We had an actual function like this with all the Texas alumni, and it was pretty much like this. So this is really a pretty fond memory. One thing that's a little different about, my freshman class is the fact that, we didn't have, Barry actually recruiting us as a head coach. He was the assistant head coach. So therefore, we dealt more so with Chuck in that regard as far as, the history of Oklahoma going through, certain coaching stages. But my very first impression of Coach as the assistant head coach was this. We were watching film against Kansas State. I'll never forget it. And he only said something about my shoes really twice. This was really the first time. We were watching Kansas State. We were playing Kansas State. This is actually one of the games that Greg Pruitt and I missed the bus to the game. And my parents were there, my dad was there, so I was a little worried about, the fact of him knowing that I missed the bus to the game, so that was a little, a little worrying me there. So Coach flicking the film, we're watching the game that Sunday morning after that Saturday game, he's flicking the film back and forth, and he says, "Little Joe, what are those things on your feet?" I say, "Those are my silver shoes, Coach." And he said, "Okay." And just kept right on flipping. Never said another word about it. I say, I think this is going to be all right here. But really, one thing, I got an email just last week, and it's so appropriate at this particular time. I just kind of let you know what it said, and you'll probably receive this. It was a quiz, and it said for you to figure out. It said, name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. It said, name the last 5 Heisman trophy winners. Name the last 5 winners of the Miss America contest. This is what you needed to figure out. And it also said, name the 10 people who have won the Nobel or Pulitzer Prize. Name the last half dozen Academy Award winner for Best Actor and Actress. And it said, name the last decade's worth of World Series winners. So I thought about that a little bit, and obviously I couldn't come up with very many of any in that particular category. So right after that, they said, how did you do? And of course, I just told you. So they said, the next thing is, the point is, none of us remember, the headlines of yesterday, very much about different things. So the next thing they asked you to think about, number 1 was this. List a few teachers who've aided you through your journey through school and life. They said, name 3 friends who have helped you through a difficult time. It said, name 5 people who have taught you something worthwhile. And say, think of a few people who have made you feel appreciated and special. And say, think of 5 people you enjoy spending time with. And I thought about that, and I immediately thought about, all of my teammates at Oklahoma. But the real thing I thought about at that particular point was all of those categories basically fit Coach. And Coach, you've meant a great deal to me. I've always felt anybody that let a kid wear silver shoes is something very, very special about him. So Coach, thanks again for everything, and I really love you.
Thank you, I love you too.
This next guy that I'm going to bring up, I could introduce him by his laugh. And everybody, as a matter of fact, I will. George Cumby. You know, Coach Switzer, I remember in one of the highlight films or during George's career, Billy won the Heisman, and I remember Coach Switzer saying that George Cumbie is the defense, what Billy Sims is the offense. George Cumbie.
I didn't think I was going to have to talk some more. I want to get something straight. I'm from LaRue, Texas. I'm not really from LaRue, Texas. I'm from Moore Station, which is a little small town outside of LaRue, Texas. And I went to T.K. Gorman High School in Tyler, Texas, not T.K. Gorman in Gorman, Texas. But Coach Switzer knew where I was, a small town in East Texas. And I remember when the coaches first came to my high school, and the teachers came and got me out of class and said that Oklahoma football coaches are there to talk to you about coming to Oklahoma. And I didn't believe it. Ain't no way. And I thought they was kidding. And so I didn't go to the office. And I remember them telling me to say, it's for real. And so I left to go to see my coaches, but I knew that they were just kidding. Somebody was just joking with me. And when I got there, Coach Mosley and one of the other coaches was there and talked to me about coming to Oklahoma. And I was excited, but I didn't think I could play. Not at Oklahoma, anywhere, but not at Oklahoma. And I remember on signing date, and Coach probably tells this story all the time. I remember on signing date, I was supposed to meet him at Tyler Airport, and I brought my grandmother and my grandfather, which they were in their late 70s, that they raised me. And Coach Switzer was there with the signing for me to sign, and I wasn't going to sign because I didn't think I could play at Oklahoma University. And just like Bosworth talked about how he believed in me, a small country boy in East Texas, only 300 people in the whole old hometown, but he believed in me. And because I was going to a little small junior college in Athens, Texas, because I knew that if I could just get a little bit better, I could probably go to Oklahoma, in about a couple of years. But I remember he told me that he wouldn't be here if he didn't believe that I could make it. And I was having trouble believing in myself, really having encouragement on myself, but he believed in me. And I signed to go to University of Oklahoma only because he believed in me. And so I love Coach Switzer, and I'm just glad that he believed in me, even though I had trouble believing in myself.
The next guy I'm going to bring up was George's partner in crime, linebacking duo, and Coach Lacewell was defensive coordinator, and Coach Switzer, I was scout team quarterback, and Billy was down there for a little while, and Coach Lacewell would tell us, run a play. So give Billy the ball, and he'd run up in there and make everybody miss him and make him look bad. And Coach Lacewell would get hot and say, run it again. He'd say, Sims, get out of there. Put another running back in there. Of course, everybody take it out on those poor little walk-on running backs. Helmets were twisted and bleeding out of the nose and the mouth. And Coach Lacewell would say, son, great job. What's your name, son? But Darryl Hunt and George Cumbie and Barry Ditka and Reggie Kinlaw And all those guys made life miserable for scout team players. Another half of that dynamic duo in the linebacking core is Darryl Hunt. Darryl, come and say hello to us.
Unlike my good friend Bosworth, I write my stuff down and he memorizes his lines. But tonight we come to pay homage to a guy we call Coach. And we came to Oklahoma because he came to us to look for talent. And he first convinced our parents that the University of Oklahoma was a place where education was available for all people. And he knew that progress of making the men was always work in progress. Back in my first year at the university, we went to the Orange Bowl. I got accustomed to seeing little Joe run up and down the field. I even committed the cardinal sin. I clipped when Joe went 74 yards against the University of Texas. And that was, it was a crushing blow, but Joe said, hey, Hunt, don't worry about it, because I know you were busting your butt just to try to let me go, just to try to set me free. And everybody was busting their butt just to try to get him to get out there. So, that was the family that came to me and that showed that we were all one. Even if we didn't do it that one day, we did it the next day. But we went to the Orange Bowl that 76, and Coach brought in Chappie James, the late Chappie James. And I remember he said, don't let anybody take anything from you. And we went out and won the national championship that night. And that still lives with me forever. Don't let anyone take anything from you, and that's what I hold dear to me and to my daughter and everything that I do in my life. But we come, and I'm humbled to be in the presence of my teammates, past and present, the guys who set the tempo for me, set the records for me to try to break. And I'm humbled to be here standing next to a guy that I respect and can call Coach. And I'm just happy to be here, and I appreciate all the opportunity that I've been given at the University of Oklahoma to represent and to stand next to this man that we call Coach Switzer. Thank you very much.
We had a good number of walk-ons that came out every year at the University of Oklahoma. And we've got one here with us tonight that's been very instrumental in helping all of this come together, or helping to put all this together and make it happen. And we wanted somebody to come that can say that they walked on at the University of Oklahoma, to speak for all of those walk-ons. I know we've got John Emerson here tonight that came in from Fort Worth, who walked on as a defensive back. I never figured out why anybody would ever walk on as a defensive back and go through Coach Proctor, because he worked those guys hard. Hit him in the mouth! But anyway, John Raley, I want John to come and share with us a little bit. John Raley.
You remember the walk-ons, the hundreds of unknown guys who you guys broke helmets on in practice. That gentle, mild-mannered Reverend George Cumby, who gave our invocation tonight, split my helmet down the middle one day. But there's absolutely no truth to the rumor that Coach Switzer made me go back into the lineup without a helmet to just give the defense a good read. That's absolutely false. It was Coach Norris who did that, not Coach Switzer. we knew that our role was to prepare you, and we did our best. When my children ask me, and they're sitting over there, Dad, were you a great football player? I tell them no, but I knew many great football players. And I knew the best coach in the country. My second day of practice, I stumbled into the locker room feeling like a 6-foot bruise, and I bumped into Coach Switzer, who called me by name and asked how I was doing and seemed genuinely pleased that I came back. You know, there's a reason that walk-ons kept coming back, and it's this man right here. He made us believe with all our hearts that our jobs were important and that we were part of a championship team. Years later, after he wrote his book, I asked him to sign a copy for me, and he wrote to John, thanks for being part of this story. And after one of the soon-to-be banned alumni games, I dropped a note to him in the mail to thank him for all that he'd meant to me personally. And I don't know if you remember this, Coach Switzer, but while my letter was in transit, the announcement came that Coach Switzer would be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So I was convinced that my letter would be lost among the thousands he received. But a couple of days later, the reply came in the mail, handwritten. It said, receiving your note is what makes 30 years of coaching worthwhile. A couple years ago, Jakey Sanover put a cell phone in my ear at one of these OU Club of Houston parties, and I heard a familiar voice. Ray Lee! Coach Switzer? Yeah! Hey, I heard you're a lawyer. Yes, Coach, I am. I am so proud of you, son. And there it was. After all the years, that personal touch that makes him unique. I am convinced that everyone who played for Coach Switzer has similar memories. He is one of the best men I have ever known. And I'm deeply honored to stand here with you and tell him so.
Oh, number 33, that made it all, that made it happen. Eddie Hinton.
Eddie Hinton.
Eddie, I remember Eddie Hinton came to practice once at the University of Oklahoma, and he had on a navy blue suit with a crisp white shirt and a red tie with alligator boots. And in my mind, I said, when I grow up, I want to be just like him. Eddie Hinton.
Before I get started, I'd like to tell you that I truly love this man. And it's been over for years that we have been really friends. When I first met Coach, and back in that time, I was truly focused on what I wanted to do. And I just knew it was me, he was going to have to take care of it. And I knew that coaches was there to give me some kind of guidance, whatever it was. But Barry was kind of a little bit different, and most of the young men in here, they have already spoken about how he talks about being family. Well, I didn't too much understand that. I brought up by a single parent and my mother, and never had much of a father figure. So Barry, as coaches back then, as you know, as we young men, we don't know nothing about the coaches except what they tell us to do. But he knew a little bit about my life, and I didn't realize how much he knew about my life until I read his book years later after I left Oklahoma. And he would come up to me, and as he's probably done a lot of you, and ask you about your family, and I would say, why are you asking me about my family, man? Just tell me what to do. I mean, you don't need to know about my family. Then he put his arms around me. I love you, man. I'm like, hey, what's wrong with you? Let me touch me like that. And so it took years to do that. And I just need to ask, probably JC and Joe and Billy, did Barry ever tell y'all that y'all were natural athletes? Did he ever tell y'all that? Well, one day after fourth quarter, and I have to owe it to my teammates, Zabel and probably Womack and Steve Owens, they told him, they said, you know, Eddie don't look like he's putting out, Coach. And look at him, he makes everything look easy. And I had a philosophy that I would never bend over for a coach. I would run and I would stand up and look at everybody and kind of breathe out my nose. And probably if I knew about marketing back then, I could have made millions for teaching people how to breathe. Well, after we had a fourth quarter and everybody was exhausted. I was exhausted, but I didn't show it. And Barry walks over to me with his wisdom and he says, son, you're a natural athlete. You know, you're better than all these other athletes out here. And you know, Eddie, sometimes in life, time's gonna get tough and you need to reach down deep and get that second wind. And, you know, I didn't have the presence of God in mind like I do now. And I kind of looked at him and said, and didn't say nothing. I'm looking at him, but I was thinking, you got to be crazy. And he said, I want you to stay after practice and I want you to run some more sprints. And I looked at him, I'm thinking, still didn't say anything. Are you serious? We'd have gone through this fourth quarter. I not run everybody, and I performed it, and I need to stay after practice? Because Womack and Zabel, those guys told him, said, Hinden's not really putting out, Coach. He's not tired. So I looked at him, and I said, if this is what it's going to take to be great, because I wanted to go play pro football, I'll do it. Instead of me run those 10 sprints, I'll run 20 for you. But every time I would run, I would come back, I would stand and look at him in his eyes, and I wasn't calling him a child of God. I was calling him a lot of other names. But after it was over, he kind of looked at me and he said, yeah, you're really in condition. But he didn't know I ran at night at some time trying to stay in condition. Probably like Joe used to run his routines and then he'd come and do it in the game situation. Well, one thing I need to say about Barry is I have saved his life once. And I'm going to tell the story. We were in Las Vegas and we went to see a fight one night. And I think it was Thomas Hearn and was it Sugar Ray that night?
No, Hagler, I think.
Oh, Hagler, they was fighting. And we ran into Muhammad Ali, and Barry and I kind of stand there, and Barry ran up to him and he said, champ, champ. He said, Barry Switzer, University of Oklahoma. And Barry kind of looked at him, and Muhammad looked at him, you know, he couldn't speak. He said, you look like Roy Rogers. And so Barry said, yeah. My horse Trigger is outside. And Muhammad didn't crack a smile. He kind of looked at him like, what did you call me? And so Barry gets behind me, of all people, and says, Eddie, tell him, I've had great black receivers, I had great running backs, I had quarterbacks, and I'm saying, well, don't get behind me, you're not gonna hit me. And then he started laughing, and of course that broke it all up. But
Trigger!
But one of the things, Coach, I want to say to you, I have one request for you before I leave. Is there's a young man in Missouri that think I'm crazy, and I need for you to go and give him a call and tell him I'm not. His name is Roger Worley. We were getting ready to play my senior year in Missouri. You know, I wasn't a rah-rah type ball player. I had my focus, and I know where I was headed, and I'm getting ready for the game, and we're getting ready to step out on the field and play Missouri because I'm trying to do well. And Barry walks over to me and he puts his arms around me. And I'm sure he'd done that to probably a lot of players. And he said, Eddie, I need to share something with you, son. And I looked at him and I said, what's that, Coach? He said, today you're going to be playing against one of the All-American defensive backs for Missouri. And I kind of looked at him and yeah, so what? He said, his name is Roger Worley. And I said, yeah, we've seen him on film. He said, I must be honest with you, Eddie. He said, he's going to eat your lunch today. And I turned and looked at him, and I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, he's going to eat your lunch. And guess what, Eddie? I said, what's that? He's white. Well, Well, I mean, he knew, and I'm sure all the players that played for him knew, he knew how to motivate you. And I was out there on the field, and to this day, Roger still kind of think I'm crazy because they punted the ball to me, and it looked like the whole field opened up, and all I could see is number 22, and I got the ball. I'm running to this guy, screaming his name, Roger! And he's looking, and this is All-American. He's like, what? And I ran into him, ran over him, and scored a touchdown. Well, that year, we played in the All-Star game where they took the top, I guess, college ball players play against the guys who played in the Super Bowl. And it was the Jets that we was going to play a year. We were up in Chicago, and the receivers and the running backs are together, and Roger Whirley happened to be in front of me to guard me. And the coach at the time said, Roger, get up maybe 2 to 3 yards in front of the receivers and kind of run with them. And when it was my turn to come up and he got to run, he said, he stood back 10 to 12 yards. And they said, Roger, get on up on Eddie Hinton. And he said, no, don't do this. And he said, Roger, no, you need to get up there and run with him and bump and run. And he said, no. And I finally realized what was happening. I said, excuse me, let me call time my coach. And I went to him, I said, let me share with you, Roger, what happened. My coach got me so psyched up. I am not crazy. And I'm hoping one day he'll meet you and apologize to you that I'm not crazy. But thank you very much, and I enjoyed it.
You know, as a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade student in Eufaula, Oklahoma, I had to be probably the luckiest kid in all of America because I had 3 guys to look to that Coach gave me that picture of what it was supposed to look like. One of them is a fellow they call Big Cat at the University of Oklahoma, Leroy Silman.
Wow, what a great evening. Gosh, I just truly thank God for being here with you. And that's not cliche for me, that's what I really mean. And I think all of us as players appreciate so much Barry Switzer and what he's done, as you've heard, for each and every one of us. And my story is no different. It comes from the Selman family, and my brother Dewey is here with me, and my brother Lucius sends his regrets for not being, but you know, our family was raised with great work ethics, and so one of us had to be working all the time. So he's working tonight. But he wishes he could have been here and been a part of this. This has been just great, just seeing all of our players, and I was sharing with Dewey the older that we have gotten, our appreciation for the experience at Oklahoma University just gets greater and greater and greater. And we're so thankful, growing up in a little small town, Eufaula, Oklahoma. We did not know what opportunities rested ahead for us. Our parents just tried to instill in us some good values, some solid work ethics, and just do the best that we possibly can and try to be the best people we could possibly be. But we're so excited that they wanted us to go beyond high school if we could. They tried to encourage us to, if you can go to college and try to get a degree from there and get ready for the rest of your life. And we're so excited when Larry Lacewell showed up in Eufaula, Oklahoma, and was looking at our brother Lucius as a prospect to attend Oklahoma University, and our whole family was so excited about that and so grateful. And Dewey and I, we were real excited about it because, you know, Coach would come down, and on the visits we got to eat real good, and he would take us out with them, and as he was recruiting Lucius, and we'd go to, we always ate at home, and we got to go to a little restaurant over there, and so we thought, this is really nice. And so we're grateful that Lucius had the courage to make a big transition from a little bitty small town, small school, and come to a major university like the University of Oklahoma. He had the courage to do that, to step out of the boundaries of that community. And he stayed, and we had a chance, Dewey and I, a couple of years later, we're being recruited, and we had been up to Oklahoma before, just watching games and visiting with Lucius. And one of our best memories and first memories was the dining hall, the training hall. I said, man, we were all about food. I said, oh man, you know, we went in there with Lucius and went down the line, and there's this big row of food, and I said, you can get all you want. I said, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. Never seen anything like this. But fortunately, Coach Lacewell returned and recruited Dewey and I as well, and we're so grateful for the opportunity that all three of us had, and the experiences that our whole family shared with the University of Oklahoma and with the fans and with our players and Coach Switzer. What an experience it was, a very positive experience. And as you've heard already, it goes beyond just teaching us the game of football. And he had a great staff of coaches, and many of them are right here with you tonight. Rex Norris was, our position coach, and he carried the same personality that Coach Switzer did. I mean, we worked hard, prepared us to go out and play our best, put us in positions to win, but we had fun as well. Had a lot of fun. On Fridays, we'd go out and be horsing around out there, and probably almost one of my worst injuries happened one day when we were out there horsing around and with Coach Norris and pulled the groin. But fortunately, we were able to get it put back together and go out and play that next day anyway. But it's just fun memories like that we hold dear in our hearts. And we know that it comes from the top. We had a great leader in Barry Switzer. He's very genuine. What we experienced as players didn't end when our careers ended at the University of Oklahoma. It extended beyond that, because I too have a true story that indicated that in 1994 as well, when Coach Switzer had just gotten a job with the Dallas Cowboys. Recently, I mean, it couldn't have been over a month that he had gotten that position. You can imagine how busy he was and putting together a staff and getting ready for a season. Well, that same year, I was being inducted into the GTE Academic All-American Hall of Fame in Washington, D.C. And they had asked us to send out, letters to friends to invite them to come, whoever might want to come. So I included Coach on the list and never expected him to show up. But in the induction ceremony, Coach Switzer and Larry Lacewell came. And of course, Larry was with the Dallas Cowboys as well. And that's the kind of people that we know. That's the heart of Coach Switzer, and that's the heart of his staff, because it starts from the top and it trickles all the way down. That's the personality and the staff that we had, and we don't take that for granted. And the more that I think about that, the more I appreciate the experience, not only for myself, but my brother Dewey and Lucius and all of us as players had at the University of Oklahoma. It's something that we'll remember forever. And it's just so great to be here this evening, and I'd certainly like to thank the host committee for all the hard work and see all of you here, all these players. My goodness, you realize how fortunate you were. These great student athletes. I mean, great men. Not only great players, but great people. And that's what sets the basis for your life. And you look at Joe and Glenn Como and gosh, every single one of them. Is so appreciated. And Coach, we thank you for allowing us to be a part of the Oklahoma experience. It's something that's dear to our hearts, and it'll be there forever, I can guarantee you. Thank you.
Great job. Yeah, I heard Coach Switzer, Coach Lacewell talking about the story that they came down to Eufaula to recruit Lucius his senior year, and they saw Dewey and Leroy both were bigger in high school than they are now, and they came down to Eufaula to recruit Lucius, and They met Dewey and saw Dewey walking. They said, "This is a Silman," and they're thinking, man, Dewey. They thought Dewey was Lucius. And, man, Lucius looked great. Yeah, well, if he'll hold the pen, we'll move the paper. We want to sign this guy. And then, they say, "This is Dewey. This isn't Lucius." And then Leroy walks up, and they're thinking, man, this is Lucius. Man, this is going to be great. Leroy walks up, and he's 6'2.5", 6'3", 255 pounds. Dewey's 6'1.5", 6'2", 250, 55 pounds. Man, they're just, salivating. They can't wait to see Lucius. Then finally Lucius comes, and he's about 5'11", 205. But those guys are a great family, and again, a great picture of what it's supposed to look like. Next guy I want to bring up, it was always interesting to be around this guy. He was just a different kind of cat. Jay Jimerson told me when Steve Williams was a senior in high school, they'd come to Norman to work in Norman in Oklahoma City for the summer, and he said, Steve being a wrestler, he knew all the tricks of the trade on how to lose weight. And he said after work, Steve would come in and lie on the couch and take a head of lettuce and some salt and eat it. And that's what he would do in the evenings to lose weight. And I knew that was a different kind of cat. Dr. Death, Steve's here somewhere. Steve, come up and say hello to us. Steve, Dr. Death Williams.
Well, can y'all hear me? Well, I'm like an R2-D2 tonight. I've beaten up cancer this year. Praise God. First of all, Coach Switzer, I want to clear the air. 1979, it was the bus driver's fault that we didn't make it to practice, okay? Y'all want me to freshen your memory, it was the Orange Bowl of 79. The bus driver didn't pick up me and half the team. Well, just like old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra saying, we did it our way, Barry. Some of us got cold feet and some of us didn't. Mike Riley, Greg Selman, Kelly Mitchell. Yeah, we sat around the hotel and enjoyed ourselves and had a few cocktails while we practiced. I kept wondering why that phone kept ringing off the hook. But really, Coach, it was the bus driver's fault. I'm going to tell you all something. I'm not going to stay up here and wear you out, because it's going to wear me out. This is the best man in the world. I was dying last year at this time, literally dying. This man right here, Stan Abel, came to my hospital room and was there for 4 hours, and I had all kinds of pipes, needles, everything hanging out of me. Couldn't talk. They done cut off my head, took everything out of my throat, vocal cords, thyroid, got a nerve. Couldn't talk. But you know what? Coach Switzer had me laughing for 4 hours. He brought the spirit back in Dr. Death. And they call me Dr. Life now. One thing I know that Coach taught me all of the years that I was there, you can do anything if you set your mind to it. And I did. And when cancer hit me, and I was in China when it did, I decided, hey, like everything I've done, I'm going to tackle this straight on, and I'll headbutt it. I want to thank all the fans and the players that called me, emailed me, sent me letters. You are our family. You really are. And I want to thank you, coaches. Coach Switzer, you're one hell of a man. You are fantastic. Thank you so much.
Billy Sims. I was University of Texas Tyler about 5 months ago and was there for a speech, and they introduced me, and I stood there at the microphone getting ready to launch into a presentation, and just out of the clear blue heard this boomer. Billy Sims, need I say any more?
Say, Coach. You know, when you go to Norman and on any given weekend, you got Coach Switzer and Coach Bob Stoops, and I'm at every home game. That's a lot of BS in Norman. That's for sure. First of all, I'd like to thank the OU Club of Houston and all the people that was involved with putting this deal together. You don't realize within less than, I guess, 8 weeks or 9 weeks, the crowd that came out to this occasion. I had talked to Alan Livingston about this, and he has been trying to get in touch with Coach Switzer, and Coach Switzer wouldn't return the call. And I'm like, wait a minute, something wrong with this picture. That ain't like Coach. So I finally had the opportunity to be with Coach one night in Dallas. I live in Dallas. And went out to dinner, and I said, Coach, you owe us. You don't owe me, you owe the players. So I kind of put him on the spot. And Coach, his biggest concern was the fact nobody would show up. I was like, you got to be kidding. But anyway, over 20-some years later, Coach, I'd like to just thank you personally, because, you know, my first choice wasn't Oklahoma. It was Baylor University. And I remember my last visit to the University of Oklahoma, Joe Washington, the Selman brothers. I really wasn't much of a football guy. Actually, I grew up in Hooks, Texas, but originally I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, so I was a baseball guy. Lando Cepeda, Kurt Flood, Bob Gibson, those were my heroes growing up. And I was left-handed, so I thought I was going to be a pitcher. I moved to Hooks with my grandmom. Of course, everybody said baseball was a sissy game, so I had to learn how to play football. But anyway, so my first choice was Baylor University. Of course, I went to Arkansas, Texas, all the other schools. And I never will forget, Coach, you may remember this, one Friday night, Hooks, Texas, we had Coach Broad out of Arkansas, or yourself, and it might have been Coach Raw, I'm not for sure, in this little old press box watching a playoff game. So normally after every game, I go eat my chicken fried steak sandwich at the restaurant over by Hooks Conoco. I used to pump gas. So that was my ambition in life, one day to be an auto mechanic. A lot of people used to laugh at that, but if you take your car in now, they're laughing at you when you leave out of there. I guarantee you. So I was going to get away from everybody. So all of a sudden, about 10, 20 minutes later, come this one guy into the restaurant. We had a guy, at that time we had a guy on your staff named Bill Shimmick. A lot of you coaches know Coach Bill Shimmick. He spent 77 days in Hooks, Texas. Because of course, of Coach Switzer. And last thing that really set on my mind was the fact that Coach Switzer said, and at this time, Grant Taft was at Baylor University. Great guy, great coach. We got real close. A lot of people thought I should come from a small town, go to a small school. And Baylor was running the I formation. That's what I did at Hooks. Billy left, Billy right, Billy up the middle, then Billy punt. And basically, that was it. But Coach Switzer made me realize and see the whole picture. They said, yeah, you could go to Baylor, but every time we play you, we're going to kick your butt. So they didn't sit well with me at all. And I like to just have the class of 1975. Hold up, Coach. Stand up. Some of the players from 1975, that recruiting cast, Thomas Lott, Victor Hicks, Goodman, Hunt, all you guys. That's probably the best class that did not win a national championship. And me personally, I take full blame for that because of the Nebraska game. I really do. Because had I not been trying to go that extra yard, I wouldn't have fumbled on the 3-yard line. But even though the Nebraska fans really appreciate me for that, because that was the first year Tom Osborne had beat you, Coach. But I tell you, that's a game that still haunts me today, because I know we was the best team in the country and the nation that year that did not win a championship. But again, Coach, we talk quite often. We are family, and that's what's the most important part about going to the University of Oklahoma. Is 20 and 30 years later, the type of relationship you could have with this man, whether you're black, white, blue, green, it doesn't matter. Whether you're working in the jock yard or whatever, everybody was family to him. And you know I love you with all my heart. Thank you, Coach. Oh, one more thing. And for J.C. Watts, I'm the first guy that knew he was a politician. Because after I wanted, see, J.C. used to carry me around Oklahoma, introducing me to people. And he said, well, hey, Sims, we can do something. We can make a little change on the side. But when I won the Heisman, the price went up, and J.C. didn't want to act right.
Yeah, I used to tell old Billy, I said, Billy, man, I got you a speaking engagement for $125. And old Billy, man, he'd take them and go to him a couple of weeks later. Billy, man, I got your speaking engagement, $125. Billy won the Heisman. I said, Billy, I got your speaking engagement, $125. He said, I ain't doing no more $125 speeches. Well, Coach, this is a special evening, and as I said earlier, you are the tie that binds every one of us in this room tonight. And before I get into my remarks, I introduced or I recognize the coaches. I think it's appropriate that I call these coaches by name because, without these coaches, Coach Switzer would be the first to admit that without them, he couldn't have done what he did, but he was a great leader. Bobby Proctor, would you stand? Gene Hoshaver, Rex Norris, Larry Lacewell, and Charlie North.
Billy Michael.
Yeah, Coach Michaels as well, Bill Michaels. Yeah, Bobby Bell's fishing coach.
Fishing coach, Bobby Bell.
Back in 1976, I was recruited to the University of Oklahoma, and I had great exposure to the university because of Leroy and Dewey and Lucius, and knew them very well, and decided to spend my football career at the University of Oklahoma. Many people don't know that my freshman year, I quit twice. Packed my bags, went home with intentions of never returning to the University of Oklahoma. Lucius called me, who had been hired as an assistant coach at the time. Lucius had gotten wind that that Darrell Ray had helped me pack my bags at 1 o'clock in the morning and headed home to Eufaula. Lucius had gotten wind of that. He called me, and Coach Switzer called me and said, "JC, come back. Let's talk. And after we talk, if you feel like you want to leave, I'll give you a release, and you can go wherever you feel like you want to go." Packed my bags again, went back down number 9 west this time, back to the University of Oklahoma to talk to Coach Switzer. Coach Switzer told me at that time, he said, "If you stay, you'll play. You got a future at the University of Oklahoma." He said, "Next year we're going to redshirt you. You'll come off redshirt as a backup. You'll start for 2 years at the University of Oklahoma." And for some reason, I didn't believe that Barry Switzer was telling me that just because I would be somebody that could run the scout team or help him, or he told me that because he really felt like that was best for J.C. Watts. I stayed, redshirted, came off redshirt as backup quarterback to Thomas Lott, started for 2 years. And as every player in this room tonight can attest to, it was the most wonderful 4 or 5 years of our lives, where Barry Switzer and a coaching staff took boys, and regardless if you were a walk-on, if you're a Heisman winner, an Outland Trophy winner, they made us men. I read a book about 3 or 4 months ago, and had heard about the book, had never read it. I had it, but I'd never read it. A book called Tuesdays with Maury. Mitch Albon, who's a sports writer for the Detroit Free Press. Mitch wrote the story. Maury was his professor in college. Maury was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease. And for 14 Tuesdays straight, Maury and Mitch wrote a dissertation about life. And Maury pointed out to us what's really important in life. I know we all take on our mission to save the world, to climb the ladder. Yes, it'll get us a little better home and a little better car, more money in the checking account. But friends, let me tell you, the thing that adds real value, real riches, real wealth to our lives, they're friendships, relationships, all those things that we so take for granted. And after I read Tuesdays with Maury, I asked myself the question, when's the last time you've taken out an old big cheap tablet with the number 2 pencil and you've handwritten a note to some special person in your life? Somebody that has had real meaning and real value, a real influence on your life. Well, tonight I don't have to take out a big cheap tablet and a number 2 pencil. I can tell him, Coach, you've added real value. You've been a wonderful influence in my life to every one of us. You are the tie that binds us all. And as my grandmother used to say from time to time, until you're better paid, we all simply want to say thank you, and we love you.
Thank you, Steve. Love you too. Thank you. Am I up there? Just a few minutes.
I'm going to bring up Chris Lincoln. Here, here's Chris.
Did he play for us?
I never played for Coach Switzer, but I damn sure should have earned a letter. All the time I spent with him on Sunday mornings, and he wasn't in the best of shape flying from Norman to Tulsa to do those shows a lot of mornings. I know it. Coach would tell me, Lincoln, you take the first half, but do it quietly. He was the best, though, for the media. Everybody loved getting comments from Coach Switzer. No BS with this man. He wouldn't spend a lot of time telling us how tough Iowa State was going to be or Kansas State. And he'd set that jaw when he'd talk about Texas, Nebraska, and he'd get down, and boy, I knew those highlight shows were going to be special. He was even better, though, when he'd lose games, and he didn't do that very often. But I always remember from a media standpoint, you'd have the other media coming to, they couldn't understand Barry. Great point. Michigan at the Orange Bowl. Oh, Bo Schembechler, boy, there was a hard ass. He got up there and told the Orange Bowl press conference, 9 o'clock curfew. My boys are in, bed check, 9 o'clock. Guy says, Coach Switzer, what's the Oklahoma team curfew? Never get Barry says, well, hell, we don't have a curfew. I'm not going to be in to check on them. Penn State. The Penn State media were scared to death of Joe Paterno. They could not shoot any video. We, Oklahomans, could not shoot any video of the Penn State football team working out. You know, big secret. They come over to Coach Switzer. Coach, you know, we don't want to bother you, but is there any time, just like 5 minutes, we just get some general shots of your team working out? And Brett said, hell, I don't care if you go out there and stand in the middle. Just don't get your ass run over. Always open, always ready to help the media. And his locker room was open too, and that was always special, Coach. And I was going through, 23 years of Oklahoma highlight films, getting that video together, and one thing kept standing out to me were different clips of Coach Switzer after a game. I don't know how this man did not bankrupt the University of Oklahoma. He gave out more game balls than anybody I've ever seen. He'd be there, he'd get so pumped up and excited, and just start handing out game balls. So I thought he deserved a little special tribute. Take a look at the video screen. Ladies, don't be offended. This is kind of coach's talk. Here's our feature on Barry's balls.
Everybody gets a game ball. I'm going to tell you, Sims gets another game ball. I'm telling you, men, this is all time right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give the offensive team game balls. I'm going to give game balls to the offensive line. It's more fun this way, man. Great job. Instead of getting one game ball defense, you get 2 game balls. Greatest defensive performance that ever been on that. On defense, every guy that plays defense gets a game ball. Get offensive line, both lines. First and second team get game balls. Tony Rayland, you get a game ball. Defensive team. And I'm gonna give one to Todd Thompson for kickoff. I'm gonna tell you something. For 4 quarters, this football team dominated them. Offensively and defensively, the whole ball game. I tell you what, everybody and every coach gets a game ball. Okay, seniors, gonna get a game ball. You're gonna sit up there and say, we never lost to Texas. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, ain't nothing like beating Texas, baby. Ain't nothing like it.
Hell, I was just standing in the back of the locker room waiting to do interviews. I got 4 game balls before it was all over. But, Coach, we have a special presentation for you now. Here, Coach. From all his players, this is for Coach Switzer. And, Barry, just like you, there are 2 of them, and they're big.
Nice.
Your turn. Come on up.
All right.
Barry Switzer.
Hey. Game balls. Thank you. What a wonderful evening. You know, please be seated. Please be seated. I've been here a long time. I've got some things I got to say, and you don't plan. You go with the flow. You go with love. You go with your heart. You go with the way you feel. You know, when I see these players, and this is something our coaches got to see every day. We got the experience. Only thing you ever got to see was a guy with a headgear on, a jersey, and a number. Y'all never knew what was inside. God Almighty. Isn't it proud to see what represented you on the football field represents you in life today? Is it all right for me to cry, Elvis? Is it all right, Elvis? I walked in last night after Bud Hebert sent his airplane to pick me up, and we brought my crew down here, my coaches, and walk in that hotel and see those guys that a lot of them hadn't seen them in a year. Ed Hall, 1966. I want to apologize to all those guys. Lacewell and I apologize to what we did to you guys in 1966, and that made you lose 2,000 pounds out there in that Stalag 13, whatever the hell it was. We polished that floor out there, and all that damn splinters are gone because they're all in your butt. And, Eddie Hinton, I'd never been around a great natural black athlete before. You made it look too easy, shit. I thought you were loafing every time. You were right. You were winning them, every one of them, but damn it, you made it look too easy. You need to fake it a little bit. Make it look like you're hurting. Instead of being smooth, fluid athlete. That's why you were a #1 draft choice, won a Super Bowl, Baltimore Colts. Bobby Warmack, my first quarterback. Bobby Warmack, where are you, Bobby? Where are you, Bobby? Stand up. I want to see you wherever you are. You know what? You know what I'm proud of? And I wasn't worried about some of my players not showing up. It's the hardship some of them had to do. It's some of them having to come so far and the expense. And I told Alan Levinston, I said, you got to work something up. Hotel, we got to put rollaway beds in there. I even had to put 2 rollaways in my room to handle a couple of my guys. And I was just worried about the inconvenience and expense for the guys. I just didn't want them to have to pay a price. But I'm going to tell you something. God, I love you and appreciate you for all being here. Ed Hall, captain of that team that year, 1966. Bobby Warmack, hey, you guys in the 60s, I was the head coach for 16 years, from 73 to 88, but I'm going to tell you something. You guys of the 60s, the decade of the 60s, I'm as proud tonight of you guys that I coached as assistant coach are all here tonight. I told my coaches that. I said, the neat thing about it is all those guys that are here when I was an assistant coach. Boy, it makes me proud. Not just the guys I coached as the head coach. Steve Zabel. I'm telling you what. We came in 1966. You think Mac Brown thinks it's tough. Oklahoma had their ass beat 8 straight years by Texas. Bud lost his last 6. Gomer got his ass beat 2 in a row. We came to town with Jim McKenzie, Lacewell, I, Pat James, a bunch of coaches. I believe we could take that football team, the players that were here, and have a winning football team. Start a foundation for the future. Oklahoma football return to the top. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The next year, 67, we returned to the top. 2-point game at Texas. They were lucky to win the ball game. We go undefeated the rest of the way, beat Tennessee in the Orange Bowl, go 10-1, end up #2 in the country. Big 8 conference champions with the guys that we took out to the Stalag 13 every day in the 4th quarter. Paid the price. Eddie Hinton was worth it, wasn't it? Thank you guys in the 60s, all of you, because you were the start of it. Then I was fortunate enough to have a quarterback in the early 70s. Jack was up here and talked earlier. We couldn't have done what we did with the history of the wishbone unless we had recruited Jack Mildren out of Abilene, Texas. Because Jack is the father of the wishbone, the greatest wishbone quarterback of his era, his time, and he allowed us to become a great football team and allowed Chuck Fairbanks to keep his damn job because we were fixing to get fired.
If I hadn't, Laceville and I hadn't talked Chuck in one night, when all those Chuck bumper stickers around Norman, Oklahoma, and that's why there were never any Barry, because I got a copyright on that. I saw they're not going to do that ever to me. But Laceville and I knew Texas why they were having those track meets every Saturday, hanging 100 on people. And Chuck was smart enough to recognize that, hey, these guys are right. Let me think on it. He did. And he made a decision to go to the Wishbone JC the next day. And we went to play Texas. And we left that ball game down there with pretty good butt whipping. But I knew we were on the right path, the right highway. Laceville told one of his friends back in Norman the next week, says, we're on the way. That guy said, yeah, you're on I-35 on the way out of Norman of the exhibition. I said, no, we're on the way. We had a party that Thursday night before we played Colorado next week. We've got it on film. I've got Jimmy Johnson, Gene Hoshaver, Larry Lacewell, me. We're all in sequin dress, drag. Chuck Fairbanks even. You know, they got the bras on. They got it stuffed with tissue. The women dressed as men. The guys dressed as women. We knew we were going to get fired. We knew we were going to be there next year. We're just going to have a good party on Thursday night before we go play Colorado. Right, guys? Hey. We got it on tape, and I told him today, I'm going to dig through the archives, I'm going to find that tape, I'm going to convert it to DVD, and I'm going to send it to everybody, including Jimmy Johnson. We're going to all, Chuck Fairbanks, you're going to get to see this. Little Joe, we went to Colorado, and I'm going to tell you something, we were on our way. Colorado was a 21-point favorite. They never took the ball from us. We moved up and down the field, Leon Crosswhite, Greg Pruitt, Jack Mildren. Hey, we came back, we were on our way. Ended up playing Nebraska 21-21. Wasn't it, Jack, in the fourth quarter in Lincoln? Fourth quarter. And we were a team that wasn't very good to start the season, but we were on our way. 71. That team in 1971 still holds the NCAA records. No one will ever approach the records that team set in 1971. We rushed for more yards that year than there's highway in state Oklahoma. We averaged 472 yards a game rushing the football. I mean, it's astounding. No one will ever approach that again. First of all, no one ever runs the ball like that again. Won't even come close to that. But if it wasn't for Jack being there and allowing us to do that, Jack, make that decision to move to do something to save our jobs and bring us on the way. Then I became head coach in 73, and golly, I tell you what, I inherited the Selman brothers, Joe Washington. We'd gone to the 30 limit in 1972, and those guys were there, and Jimmy Johnson decided to go to Arkansas as their defensive coordinator. I called a guy at Texas A&M. I said, I know you're smarter than Jimmy Johnson because he left three guys named Leroy, Lucius, and Dewey. And Rex, you're going to get to know them. You're going to love coaching them. So Rex got to coach those guys, and we won 38 games in a row. Won 2 national championships back to back, and they only lost 2 games in their 4 years. We should have won those 2. And little Joe, I told him, I said, I don't care what you wear. The way you play and run the football, you can play barefooted. I meant that. What difference does it make? People, you know, you don't understand. I talked to Thomas a lot last night, Black Velvet out at San Antonio John Jay High School. Thomas come into my office sophomore year. He just started against Texas. He was going to start, maybe play against Texas since Blevins had an athletic injury, was going to miss the game. and so he came in, he says, Coach, what do you want me to do about my bandana? And I said, what do you mean, what do we want you to do? And he says, well, you know, it hangs out of my headgear. It's going to draw attention to me. I said, Thomas, you wore that in high school. You've worn it all your freshman year. You worn it every 2 a day. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? I know the reason why you wear it, because you're smarter than the rest of them. It's an Afro era. He put that bandana, pulled it down tight, wore it over his headgear, and he didn't have those indentions that Billy and them had to sit there for 20 minutes with that pick, pulling it all out, that Afro. Thomas was smarter than the rest of those guys. I said, I know why you do it. You're not wearing it to get attention to yourself. You're doing it because of practical reasons. I understand that, so keep on wearing that damn bandana. So that's the reason why. That's Coach doing what he ought to do. Hey, but I'm going to tell you something. We had a great run, guys, all through the years. Hey, it's just unbelievable to me that we accomplished what we did alone. We didn't do it alone. We did it because of all the character we have in this room, these coaches and the character of all these players that we have here. What they said is typical of everyone that couldn't get up here and have to say. I have so much pride in what you guys accomplished. For me, to look at J.C. Watts Jr., Julius Sear, whatever we all call him. We had all different names for him. To see you and Spencer on national television, to feel that you're part of the Sooner family. You know, it's just amazing to me that what pro football is nothing about getting the Super Bowl. So impersonal. You know, half the guys you coach one year are not even there again the next year. You know, they're a number. They're someone that, and they understand that they're 7 in the morning to 6:30 in the afternoon. It's about how well they play that job. If they don't perform, they bring that football back or cover that football, play it to the expectations of the coach. They're on the waiver wire that afternoon. They're pumping gas in Georgia the next day for $8 an hour. That's pro football. College football is really what the definition of coaching is all about. It's about knowing the men that you recruit. You've got them for 4 or 5 years, 365, 24/7. You know where they come from. You've been in your homes. You know the father and the mother, if they had a father. You know their siblings. You know their passions, their goals, their ambitions. You know all those things that make coaching what it is and really the value of what coaching is all about. It's not about just winning football games on Saturday afternoon. It's about developing young men for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years of living. And I'm so proud to be a part of these young men's, now not so young, lives. To think about how far we go back and how far we've come. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you for doing this for me. I want to thank Ron Hull and his wife Cindy for the wonderful experience we had last night in their wonderful home. It was a great time. It was a great experience. To Chris Lincoln, to Chris for putting on this production here. There's going to be a DVD for all the guys here, the coaches and the players. Something we'll always treasure, look back and think about that, hey, this is something like Chris said, maybe will never happen again. We're together for one time. Jerry Sims, hey, to get to see you again, it's been so many years. Bill Elster, I've seen you a few times since. Eddie Hinton, one of my favorite guys of all time. Warmack, Zabel, Ken Sinton. You know, just I can't remember all of you. Ricky Stokes over there, hadn't seen him in years. Darrell Hunt, so special. His daughter's at the University of Oklahoma now. The Selmans, God, it's just, you have no idea the pride I take in the fact that, hey, they all were Sooners. We're all a family, and that's what's so neat. And there's an inscription on the wall at the center, south end zone. It's called the Barry Switzer Center. There's one name up there, but the reason one name's up there is that they couldn't put all the players and all the coaches that made it all happen because they're just as much a part of it as I am, but one name has to be there. Well, in that wall in there, in an era that I coached, there's some words on the wall there. It says, thousands have played this game, but only a few can be Sooners. And you know what I meant by that when I said it was the fact that it's special to be a Sooner. You have to be asked. You have to be recruited, and there's so many things that you must meet to be accepted to be a part of that family. Not anyone can be a part of it. The toughest job I had at the University of Oklahoma as a head coach was to tell kids they couldn't be a part of that family. I had to turn kids down that wanted to be, that grew up living and believing in our program and what we did and what we accomplished, and they wanted to be a part of it. They couldn't be. It's special to be a Sooner, to be a part of that family. One of the greatest football programs in the country, one of the top 3 or 4 programs without question, arguably, the top 3 or 4 programs in the country have to be the Oklahoma Sooners. I could ramble on and just say, hey, to my coaches, here, hey, I love y'all. You all know that. I have great respect for the job that you did. You're neat people. We have a lot of special bond between us. I knew Lacewell 53 years ago when sophomore. He's playing for Fordyce, Arkansas. I went to many track meets with him, many swim meets with him, And senior year in high school, I had an open date. I went up to Fairview in Camden to see him play. The first play of the game, they handed him the ball, and he ran up there. And it wasn't like little Joe finding a crack and go north. He went sideways, started reversing his field. He got knocked out of bounds right in front of me. And I looked down, and he looked up at me, and he saw me there. And I said, "Nice run, Lace." He lost 19 yards. Hey, he always wanted to go to Arkansas. He didn't get to prove himself. He wanted to go to Oklahoma. I got a friend here that was a freshman with me at the University of Arkansas. We reported 50 years ago, September the 12th, Dale Boutwell from Cotton Plant, Arkansas. Everybody wants to be from Cotton Plant. Most of them have left there too. Bill Michael, I played side by side at the University of Arkansas, coached at Oklahoma. Bobby Proctor, my coach, my freshman coach. Dale, my freshman coach at the University of Arkansas. You know, we go, and great coach at OU, there's no question about it. You know, these special moments, special memories, but I get to say them tonight and ramble and say thank you. God, what a great time we've had. What a great run. I know that we've been a long evening, and I just got to say to all of you, thank you for being here. All the Sooner family, the fans, the alumni, and especially the players. I do love you, and I do care about you. You're special. You're special, and you're a Sooner. That makes a big difference. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, baby.
Coach George Cumbie is going to come, and we're going to pay tribute to all of the coaches and players who are no more. And they're Sooners in our heart, and all made a contribution to what Coach Switzer has so eloquently framed as the Sooner family. And George, you come.
All right, this is a very special time. We've had players that are deceased and also coaches. And so we want to just kind of stand up. Will everybody please stand? We're going to have a moment of silence as the screen will show the different players and coaches that have already gone.
Coach, we've got one more presentation before we go home. Every player that's been a part of this weekend, we've signed this book for you and want to give you a little something to remember the evening for. And Coach, again, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks for impacting our lives in a very positive way.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
After the evening, Coach Switzer took a moment to reflect on what his OU Players Tribute had meant to him.
Probably the best weekend I've spent many, many years. I've been gone from the game for 18 years from the collegiate game, spent 4 years in Dallas, but this is what coaching is all about, Chris. You know, the players, the associations, the relationships you had through the years with the players that you spent 4 and 5 years with, 365, 24/7, helping develop those young men to be productive citizens the next 40, 50, 60 years of living. I got to see the results of that this weekend, and some of these guys I hadn't seen in 30, 40 years, and it's special, really special, and I thank you especially, and Houston, the Alumni Association, and your company, and the people that all put their efforts and energies into making this very possible, because it's a special moment in my life. You know, life holds very few moments like this. This weekend held for me, and it's really, really special.